Alright, so in today's video we're going to give the 911 a new look. We're gonna make it wider and lower to the ground, just like your mom. Anyway, Design 911 was kind enough to sponsor the video. Design 911 is based in the UK and in the Netherlands. For my American viewers, the Netherlands is the capital of Amsterdam, which is located in the country Europe. So Design 911 provided me with this new shiny set of Bilstein coilovers. Yeah. With this, we're going to lower the car and also improve the handling. So for all your Porsche parts, both original and performance, go check out Design 911. Also, we're going to install brand new wheels and tires. Have a look. Yeah, that should look pretty cool. Also, we're going to do a small giveaway, so stick around for that. Alright, so let's get this car in the air and let's get to work!
Here's a reminder of what the car looks like now. I also really like this look, but we're gonna make it a bit less grandpa spec by lowering it and installing the new wheels. Oh, and yes, I haven't forgotten about the poor little Ford. Alright, the car's going on the lift and we're gonna start at the back seat. Take it away, Hunter.
Hello, welcome to the back seat of the car. So to gain access to the rear struts, we're going to fold down the back seats, revealing this bracket. With the hex tool size 6, we're going to remove it. There we go. Oh, there we go. And that's 2. I believe we would now be able to pull this out. Okay, let me grab a plastic tool. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Then we're going to remove this foam padding. It kind of comes off like a sticker. Like a very old sticker. There we go. Then we're going to disconnect the PASM cable with the pick tool. There we go. Then here's a little zip tie which we would need to remove. Yep. So that our cable is free to leave the car. Then we're going to remove these 3 bolts with the 15. Alright, so off camera I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. And now let's get these old bad boys out. To do so, we're first going to remove the wheel. Alright, so in our case, we're first going to remove the rear sway bar, because we're also going to replace the rear sway bar bushings. That was scary. Right, there we go. All right, so let's see what we have. Yeah. These are, well, 20 years old, so I think it's time that we replace these while we're in here. Let's give this a good clean. Stroking my bar. Now for our new bushings, I'm gonna put a bit of silicone grease on the inside. Oh yeah. Oh, and then we're gonna pop it on. Ooh, that's way stiffer. That's way stiffer. Good. The other ones were pretty worn. Now, this is a quick clean. All right, now we're gonna put this back on. Yeah, there we go. That's good and tight again. Good. And now we'll repeat the process for this side. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to loosen these control arms. Sorry about the overspray. That's a bit of WD-40 I used to let these nuts and bolts soak a bit. Have you heard about the term soaking before? Go look it up. Anyway, we're gonna break this loose with an 18 and a breaker bar. There we go. There we go. I love that sound. All right, so next one. Yeah, there we go. All right, so next up, the lower control arm. Yep. There we go. That's never gonna pass this thing. Oh, I know what to do. I think if I... Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So now, here, let me show you. Now this bolt will clear this lower control arm. There we go. All right, so now we should be able to maneuver this out. That's our PASM cable. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right. And that's our rear spring removed. All right, so let's continue. With an open wrench 19 and a small crowbar, we're gonna undo this nut. So we're gonna feed the cable through here. Then counterhold it like so, and then here we go. All right, there it went. Oh yes, it's going. Oh my goodness. I'll let you in on a little secret. With the other spring, it went terribly wrong, and the nut was completely corroded, and it took me like, what shall I say, like 4.5 hours, 5 hours to get this one bolt removed. Fun? Let me show you some quick B-roll on what really happened. And yes, I did the other side off camera first. It's the magic of YouTube.
Okay, so what happened with the other coil was that the nut was so corroded to the strut that the nut started spinning the whole strut. So after having it letting soaked in transmission oil, I grinded the sides of the strut thread so that I could fit a size 10 wrench on there to counterhold it. Unfortunately, that didn't work. So then I drilled a hole in the thread and tapped a new thread inside the thread, if that makes sense. The first time it failed, but after tapping an even larger hole, I was able to fit in a bolt which I could counterhold enough for the nut to finally come loose.
Oh, and by the way, you don't need a spring compressor for this, as there is no considerable spring load. So this should come loose relatively calm. Almost. All right, and there we go. We're gonna reuse this bad boy. I wanted to replace these initially, but these were like 400 euros a piece, and this one is in completely good order, so we're gonna go ahead and reuse this. All right, so after giving this a bit of a clean, we're now going to install this on the new coilover. So we start out by putting this new rubber gasket over here. And make sure it clips under these plastic tabs. First, we're going to install this one. And then we're going to line up this thing onto that notch. Now it's lined up, as you can see. Then we're going to feed in the new nut and tighten it by hand as far as possible. Then we're going to grab our open end wrench 19. Alright, so now for the final torque. This is a new type of torque wrench. It's really special. Click. Yeah, they're pretty new to the market. And this is now ready to go back in the car. This looks so good, doesn't it? Alright, but before installing it on the car, we're going to give the wheel arch a bit of a clean. There we go, that's a lot better. Thanks to my friends over at XCP. Yeah, that's a lot of dirt and debris.
Look at that. Breaking down all the calcium minerals, dirt and debris, that's right.
Alright, so after that job, we're going to feed in the new coilover. This notch is going to line up over here. So we're going to feed it in like so. Then line it up with the control arm bolt over here. Then we're going to feed in the cable through this hole, like so. And then we're going to... Oh, there we go. That's it. Yeah, that's now lined up, as you can see here. So here's the control arm bolt. Yeah, there we go. Yep, that's all the way through. So now we're going to screw on the nut on the other end. Yep, that's it. We're not going to tighten this yet. We're now going to do the upper control arms. All right, so here we have our upper control arm bolts. Yep, there we go. That's one. Yeah, there we go. Easy. Then
These nuts.
all bolts finger tight for now. So then we're going to push up the suspension up till ride height. Yep. Nope. Yeah, that's about perfect. All right, so now we can torque everything to spec. So as you could have seen earlier, I'm not able to get a torque wrench up down there. All right, so as you could have seen earlier, I'm not able to get a torque wrench down there, so we'll have to do that just good and tight. There we go. All right, so now we're going to release the tension. Yep. And reinstall the nuts of the strut mount inside. All right, so welcome to the inside of the car. We're now going to reinstall these nuts with a 15, and then torque these to spec. So next up, we're going to install the PASM cable of the coilover to the car. There's a little cap on here. And then we're going to simply connect it like so. There we go. Then we're going to reinstall this sound insulation. And then it's time to put this thing back on. So we're going to pop this in here and then make sure on the other side it pops in as well. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. It's looking fresh again. Then for these brackets to go back in here with a 6 Allen key. Yep, there we go. Now we can put this back on. And that's the install of the rear coilover done. And now we're going to go ahead and reinstall the rear sway bar. So now for the reinstall of the rear sway bar with the new sway bar bushings. Now for the sway bar end links. Oh. And as you can see, you would need to counterhold these with a T30. And then finally torque these to spec. Alright, so off camera I also did the other sway bar end link, and now we're going to continue at the front of the car installing the front coilovers. We're also going to renew the front sway bar links, the inner tie rod, and the outer tie rod. The inner tie rod had a bit of play. So while we're in there, it's a good time to replace all that. We're also going to renew the top mount of the strut along with the bearing. Alright, so let's get this wheel removed. Alright, so we're going to start out by removing the sensors. Then we're going to remove this bolt. Put this to the side. Alright, so then this one over here. Yep, that's loose now. Alright, so now we're going to loosen the brake caliper. Yep, that's one. And that's two. Okay, now with a piece of string, we're going to suspend the brake caliper. We're first going to loosen this cable. Yeah, that's one. Oh, that's two. Good. I'm not sure if you can see this, but now we can use this bracket to suspend the brake caliper too. Make a little knot. And then we're going to take this off and hang it like so. Perfect. So what's next? I want to clean the brake shield as well, so we're going to remove the brake disc to gain some access. Yep, that's one. That's two. Somebody used anti-seize before. Thank you for that. Oi. Am I missing something? Well, this isn't coming off, is it? I've got a little trick for that. We just need to screw in a bolt in here. All right, so this should now pop off. Yeah, there it goes. Come to Papa. Oh, there we have it. Yeah, we're gonna clean this up. We're definitely gonna clean this one up, as well as the knuckle. All right, so let's get this dirty heat shield out of the way. All right, so there we go. That's pretty crusty as you can see, but we're gonna make this shiny again. So we're gonna replace the inner and outer tie rod, so we're gonna remove that first. Well, you've seen me use this before. If you wanna know how the whole process works, check out the video in the top right-hand corner. Okay. My ears. Oh, that's better. There we go. I must admit that at the other side of the car, I had a lot more issues. I was not able to get the strut out of the knuckle, hence why I removed the whole knuckle at the other side of the car. In the process of doing so, I wrecked this boot of the tie rod end. Hence why I had to replace it on the other side, and now we're going to replace it here as well, obviously. Alright, so next up is going to be this one. And to be honest, I had loads of trouble at the other side of the car as I was seriously not able to get that bolt out of there. So it's connected to the sway bar link, as you can see here. At the other side of the car, it was simply frozen in. I was hammering away on that side of the sway bar link and the thing wouldn't budge. Whatever I tried, it wouldn't come undone. So in the end, I removed the whole knuckle and the whole strut from the car and torched this bad boy with a gas torch. And then finally, after minutes of torching the thing, hammering away, it started to come loose. It was truly a nightmare, and again, it took me like half a day. So we're first gonna remove this little bracket over there, and then we're gonna give it a go to see if this one behaves a bit better. So wish me luck. All right, so first this one. Oh, that was actually pretty loose, good. Now let's see if we can break this one loose. The problem, however, was removing the whole pinch bolt. Yeah, all right, so that's going, that's good. All right, so that was easy. Now for the hard part. I'm gonna screw this back on for a bit, just a tiny bit. All right, so the problem was with the other end that whatever I tried, this pinch bolt wouldn't come out the knuckle. Let's see if we have more luck this time. Oh yeah, it's going through, good. Oh yeah. I guess we got lucky this time. Oh, thank God it's going through. Oh man. You have no idea how much time it took for me to get the other end undone. Good. We're getting there. This is actually exciting stuff. It's almost through. Ow! Yes! And there it is. Oh yes, that's so good. It's funny that this took me like 5 minutes, but at the other side of the car it took me half a day again. Did I tell you that it took me half a day? Good. Alright, so now we're going to remove the top of the coilover, so let's go ahead and remove these 3 bolts. With a 13. I almost forgot, but I'm first going to circle these nuts with a Sharpie so I have an idea of where the nuts are supposed to go back in once we reinstall the new coilover. Now with the 13 we're going to remove them. Then we're going to remove this PASM cable. Not sure if you can see this, but I'm going to use a pick tool. Alright, so let's get down again. As I want to remove the whole knuckle from the car, we're going to also undo the lower control arm, and then we're going to tilt the whole assembly out. Let's see if we can undo this. Yes, we can, actually. Good. Why am I surprised, by the way? I did this on the other side. Oh shit, it's spinning. Okay, that's fine. I'll figure something out. Hey, wait a minute. That's actually a 40. That's crazy. Okay. Interesting. So it's not a T30, it's a T40. I'm just not able to get this in. You know what? We're gonna do it differently. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're going to undo this coffin bolt so that we can swivel the whole assembly down, and then we're gonna try and pull out the strut so that we can remove the bolt of the control arm. So we're gonna grab our 18 and then. Yeah, there we have it. Yeah, there we go. Ow. Okay, that's loose enough for now. Okay, so let's see what happens when we pull this down. Oh yeah, there we go. That's it. So now I'm gonna use this towel. Oh, no, wait. I'm first gonna tape off this piece of the fender as I don't wanna scratch the paint. So that's a nice thick layer of protection. Okay, I'm gonna put this towel on top of the strut. Okay. All right, that has it covered. Now for some brute force. Oh, there we go. Good. That went well. If I hammer it, is it gonna break loose? Let's see if I've created enough space to undo that lower control arm. I have, actually. Here goes nothing. Yeah, there we go. It's not the easiest, but... Oh, fuck.
don't know what happened there, but this is now thing. Okay, well, my tool broke. Interesting. Well, that sucks. We're gonna think of a plan B, as this thing is
Okay, well, a different approach. I'm going to tighten this press so that we hopefully can undo that control arm bolt. Okay, that's tight. Oh, and I'm deaf again. How do you like the state of my t-shirt? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, that's it. That's it. Oh yeah, it's working. Thank God. Okay, here we go. And there it is. So now that means that we can safely but carefully remove the whole assembly. Let's see. Do I need to use a fork or a larger fork? Because I don't want to tear this boot. Yes, there we go. All right, so here we have the whole strut assembly. I'm gonna continue, but not today. First, we're going to the Monaco Grand Prix again.
Let's go, boys! Let's go! Let's go, boys!
All right, well, that was the Monaco Grand Prix. That was epic again. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove the strut from the knuckle. As you can see, the strut on my car is very rusted. I have already treated it with a wire wheel to eliminate some surface rust. And after a lot of hammering, I only managed to get it up around to 1 centimeter or so. So we're gonna continue with using violence, i.e. this hammer. We're gonna replace the strut anyway. So sound protection on and let's get hammering. Oh yeah, finally, there we go. All right, well, this rusty old bad boy looks terrible and, well, has had its best days. So let's continue with cleaning up the knuckle and then install the new coilovers. All right, music on, and let's get this thing looking like new. And as you can see, that's a lot better. Took some time. Hope you like the result. Although it's aluminum, I'm going to treat this with some XCP rust blocker, so this should look nice in the car. Before, however, we're going to install the shiny knuckle and the new strut, we're going to give this a clean. As we're going to replace the tie rod and the sway bar link as well, we're first going to remove these. Okay, now let's see. Oh, there we go. Finally. Okay, but we would need to counter hold it though. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And now for the inner and outer tie rod. Yep. Let's quickly remove the old boot. Careful to not cut myself again with this Stanley knife. My OG viewers know what I mean. All right, so after removing the boot, we're going to install this special tool and clamp it around here like so. Let's use an adapter and a breaker bar. a large one. Oh, there we go. That worked. God, I'm good. Leverage, baby, leverage. Come to Papa, baby, come to Papa. Here we go. And that's the inner and outer tie rod removed. All right, so now that's out of the way, we're gonna give this a very good clean. All right, that's a lot better, isn't it? Thanks to my bros over at XCP. Thanks a lot again.
And as you can see, I also did the heat shield and provided it with a bit of rust blocker.
Alright, so while we're in here, we're also going to replace the inner and outer tie rods. As you've all seen me do this on the Mini before, I'm not going to bother you with showing you the whole process. What? Alright, I'm gonna make you watch every second of this! So this is the old one, this is not feeling tight anymore, and the boot is torn, as I said. So these are the new parts that we're going to prepare. First, we're going to give this a bit more grease, as I have the feeling that that's not a lot of grease in there, to be honest. Maybe that's a bit of cost savings, but not on my car. So we're going to grab this stuff and just apply a little bit of extra grease, like so. Then we're going to remove this nut, slide over this boot, make sure it's slotted in over here. We're going to use a bit of this supplied silicone grease. No, you know what? We're going to use the PowerFlex silicone grease. I love my friends over at PowerFlex. So like so, spread it around. Then we're going to slide over this new clip and simultaneously push this into its slot. Yeah, there we go. And get this over on the boot. So then we're going to slide over this clip. However, I'm going to use a regular tie wrap, as that is what was on the car in the first place, and I don't have the space to properly close this on the car. So we're going to put on this zip tie when it's installed on the car. So next up, we're going to get the length of the new parts as close as possible to the old one. So the car is going to get an alignment afterwards. For now, it's just important that we get it as close as possible. Alright, so finally I was able to get them roughly the same length. Well, not roughly, pretty much perfectly the same length. So now we're going to tighten these. Just good and tight. And now this is ready to go back on the car. Look at how shiny that looks. First, we're going to put this seal over there. Is it on? It is, good. So then we're going to use a bit of red Loctite. Because, well, you don't want to have this come loose when driving. There we go. So now we're going to screw this in until it bottoms out. Oh, there it is. So let's move this boot back for a second, so that we can fit our tool over here. So if you made it this far in the video and even watching the boring bits, thank you very much, really appreciate it. Hence why I want to tell you what the giveaway is. The person who guesses my playing handicap in golf wins a Design 911 cap and t-shirt, as well as a TheHunterHofman keychain. You guys have 2 weeks from now. Anyway, let's go back to the boring stuff. So we're going to grab our tool, put it across like so, then this part, and then we're going to screw on the 2 nuts and snug these up. So that's very tight. And snug this bad boy up real good. Here we go. Real tight. Now we simply remove the tool again. There we go. So off camera, I'm going to slide the boot back, put on the tie wrap. That's proper boring, so I won't bother you with that. And there you go, the new tie rod installed. Alright, so now it's time to put the new strut in the knuckle. Alright, so what do we have? This little notch over here indicates when it hits over there, so then you know it's tight and flush. Yeah, that's off to a good start. We're gonna wiggle. Oh yeah, there we go. Yep, there it is. So as you can see, the bump stop is now perfectly against the knuckle. So that means we're able to close it up and install it on the car. All right, so we start out by putting this thing over here, then the new top strut mount, like so, then this washer, and then we're gonna tighten it down by hand. So with a 6mm Allen key, we're going to counterhold the strut, and then we're gonna tighten it. All right, that's very tight, good. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Yeah, that's step one. Then we're gonna put this towel over here to not scratch the paint. Now we're gonna push this in. Yep, like so, good. Now we're gonna go ahead and feed it onto that hole. And note that the arrows on the top strap mount point towards the front of the car and the rear of the car. So we're first going to reinstall this bolt for the lower control arm. All right, well, that may take a while. All right, so that's the lower control arm back together. So next up is going to be the tie rod. So we're going to put this through, oh yeah, and note that I've cleaned out these holes. And note that I've cleaned out these holes, both for the lower control arm and for the tie rod hole. So let's work this in. There we go. Then we're going to get our new nut. So we're going to counterhold the tie rod with a 6 Allen key and tighten it with an 18. 19. This is also going to take a while. Okay, now we're going to torque this down. There we go. That's 75. All right, and finally our new sway bar link, which also functions as a pinch bolt. Okay, so we're going to slide this one through here and screw on the 18mm nut. Looking shiny, brother. All right, so we would need to counterhold it with a, what was it again? 18? Yep, 18 seems to work. I would need to know the torque spec for this. All right, so that's 85 apparently. 85, so that's 75, so that's 85. There it is. Okay. All right, so let's move on with the lower part of the sway bar link. Let's raise this bad boy up. Okay. Now let's put this through here. Quickly. Oh, there we go. That's in. Okay, good. Then for a new 16mm nut. All right, so this might take a while as well. Well, I can get a torque wrench in there, but believe me, that's really tight. Now for the cleaned up wheel speed sensor. Yep, that's tight. All right, so welcome to the top of the car. Now we're going to reinstall these bolts over here. As you may or may not remember from the beginning of the video, I circled the places of where the bolts used to sit. So we're going to make sure that these are perfectly lined up. Yeah, that looks good actually. Yeah, this is how I wanted. Now we're going to torque these to spec. Okay, good. That's perfect. All right, so as you can see, I'm under the car and I'm going to bring the suspension up till ride height so that we can tighten up this coffin bolt over there. Because you're supposed to tighten that at ride height. Is that perfectly lined up? Yes, it is actually. Okay. A little bit more without lifting the car up too much. Okay, let's grab a wheel. No, this is supposed to be a lot higher. Yeah, that's about good. Yeah, that's good enough. I am supposed to turn this one. You won't be able to see anything. All right, well, I can only make the smallest turn, so yeah. I'll see you in a bit. All right, so I got it done. Took a lot of effort, actually, but managed to get it done. And now we're going to release the suspension again and continue with the brakes and the wheels. Finally, the wheels. Yeah, there we go. Okay, car didn't drop on me, good. All right, so this video is taking long enough already, so let's quickly get these brakes on. And before we forget, we would also need to connect the PASM cable to the car. All right, so as you can see, brakes are on. So one final thing before we can put on the wheels finally and wrap this video up is installing the PASM cable that starts under there but has to be connected over there. So I'm gonna do that off camera. I'll show you how I routed it and then we can finally put on the wheels. So be right back. And thanks again for leaving this when you guys were looting my BMW M2. I still use it a lot. Okay, so let me show you how I routed the PASM cable. So we obviously start down there, then it clips in over there, goes all the way like so. I've located the first zip tie over there, another zip tie, and we have another zip tie going up here, another zip tie, and then over here it enters the car. I'm gonna quickly reinstall this off camera and then connect the PASM cable to the car. We would now need to take off that cap and then connect it. Yes. Yeah, there we go. That's the install done, finally. It took some days, took a lot of time for you guys especially. I think it's time to now put on the wheels and see what the stance is like. All right, so as you can see, I already put on the wheels. First, let's go ahead and torque these bad boys to spec. All right, and that's all the wheels torqued. I'm pretty tired, but we're going to give the car a clean the next day I'm here, and then we're gonna see for the results. I'm pretty excited. Alright, so there we have it. I really like the look of the new wheels and the stance of the car. I have driven a couple of miles and I can already tell that the suspension is way stiffer. Also, it feels a lot more responsive. I also didn't receive any error codes and the PASM works as intended. Really good. So after the suspension has settled, I will give the car a full alignment so to get it as straight as possible again. Just like me. And afterwards, I'll provide you with a more extensive review of the coilovers. For now, I want to massively thank Design 911 for sponsoring the video again. Go check out their information in the description below. Wishing you all the best with the giveaway. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time! Waarom de werkt het nou weer niet? Oké hoor, dus als je ervoor staat is de lefty loosey, dus naar beneden. So we're gonna put on the zip tie. So we're gonna put on the zip tie later on when the. So we're gonna put on the zip tie on the car. So we're gonna put on the zip tie when this is installed in the car. So we're gonna put on the zip tie when this is. Jesus! Sorry. And note that the arrows on the top strap mount point towards the front of the. And note that the arrows of the. And note that the arrows of the top strap. And note that the arrow. And note that the arrows on the top strut mount point towards the rear and the points toward the. Oh, come on! And note that the